Angel Reese receives her 8th tech, which will prohibit her from playing against the Indiana Fever. And 2, she's in some pretty hot water with her teammates about the Chicago Tribune article.
The entire league is giggling about Angel Reese's recent suspension. The Chicago Sky did the most hilarious punishment ever, not because it's serious. Banned for a half game. Half a game, not. Who even does that? Do you believe that Chicago appears powerful or weak in this kind of move? Leave your comments below.
It honestly hasn't been the greatest week for Angel Reese because she did an interview where she talked about all things Chicago Sky, but there was a couple things that she said in the interview that truly rubbed her teammates and her coach the wrong way. And it was kind of a firestorm yesterday on social media. One of the things that was mentioned in the report is that Reese said that she doesn't believe her teammates Rachel Bannum or Haley Van Lith are capable of leading a playoff team. And according to the Tribune, Reese believes that the team needs to be overhauled this season around just 2 solidified pieces on the 2026 roster, herself and Camila Cardoso. She said, "I'm not settling for the same crap we did this year. We have to get good players. We have to get great players. However I can help to get the best here, that's what I'm going to do this offseason. I'd like to be here for my career, but if things don't pan out, obviously I might have to move in a different direction and do what's best for me." Those are sometimes just sentiments that you just don't say publicly. And her teammates unfortunately saw this, the coaching staff saw this, and then it was reported, multiple league sources told Front Office Sports the entire team has seen Reese's comments and the teammates are unhappy with the direct attacks. A team meeting is planned at which players are expected to address Reese directly. Now, Angel Reese, since all of that, she has apologized, she has taken some accountability, and the last thing that I will read for you guys is her apology. She said, "I don't think I'm frustrated with my team/organization. I think I'm frustrated with myself. I didn't intentionally mean..."
There is no other way to characterize the circus, so let's get started. Angel Reese will not play in the first half of the Chicago Sky's forthcoming game against the Las Vegas Aces. The team stated, yes, you heard correctly. She isn't going to miss the whole game. She isn't skipping any games. She has a one-half suspension. Not only is it strange, but it's hilarious. When was the last time you saw something like this? Suspensions typically indicate one thing in basketball, regardless of the level. You're gone. Depending on what you did, you might miss 1 or 2 games, but you miss at least 1. When a child skips a conditioning drill or arrives late to practice, that is what a college coach does. A professional organization would never discipline their alleged franchise star in that way.
Not been Angel Reese's day. Basically, her entire team feels attacked by her from comments that she made in a Chicago Tribune article. This is what Front Office Sports is reporting. According to the report, Reese said she doesn't believe her teammates Rachel Bannum or Haley Van Lith are capable of leading a playoff team. Guard Ariel Atkins is another player on the Sky's roster with WNBA championship experience. "We are aware of it," Marsh said. Marsh is actually the head coach of the Chicago Sky, and we're addressing it in-house as currently speaking. That's where we're staying right now.
There is no discipline here. This is theater for public relations. After Angel Reese shouted out her colleagues and essentially threw the entire locker room under the bus, the Sky sought to project a tough, action-oriented image. However, they were unwilling to accept the whole penalty. As a result, they developed this half-game bullshit that makes them appear even more vulnerable. She should be suspended if you plan to do so. Don't if you're not. This indecisiveness basically shouts out of the window.
One of the things that were said, I will read you some of the excerpts, which does kind of not make her team look good. One of which say, "We can't rely on Courtney," that's Courtney Vandersloot, "to come back at the age that she's at. I know she'll be a great asset for us, but we can't rely on that. We need someone probably a little younger with some experience, somebody who's been playing the game and is willing to compete for a championship and has done it before." Some of the other stuff that she said was also pretty bad. Like, "I'm not settling for the same we did this year. We have to get good players. We have to get great players. That's a non-negotiable for me. I am willing and wanting to play with the best, and however I can help to get the best here, that's what I'm gonna do this offseason. So it's gonna be very, very important this offseason to make sure that we attract the best of the best because we can't settle for what we have this year."
Let's now discuss what brought her to this point. Angel Reese made the decision to address the media, stating that she is sick of losing and that the squad needs better players. Conversations like that don't make the news. The locker room is burned into it. What was bad about it? She wasn't ambiguous. "We need to improve as a team," she said, but she went beyond that. She began mentioning names, indicating ages, and disparaging veterans. That's not being a leader. Fuel on an open flame is what that is.
So her saying we can't settle for what we have this year, that is basically like a slap in the face to Becca Allen. That is a slap in the face to Rachel Banham. That is a slap in the face to Ariel Atkins. And here's another quote. "I'd like to be here for the rest of my career, but if things don't pan out, obviously I might have to move in a different direction and do what's best for me."
The crazy part comes next. Jeff P., the general manager of Chicago, publicly chastised Angel Reese earlier in the season. "She should take on more responsibility and shoulder a greater burden for the team," he said. "He will not be suspended or given a slap on the wrist. Everything will continue as usual." However, when Reese reverses the course and does the same action, it becomes a negative remark and she is marginalized. There is no more blatant example of the double standard. Chicago seems to have no idea what route they are attempting to take. On the one hand, they promote Angel Reese as the franchise's spokesperson, ticket salesperson, and a player they can develop around. However, they fold like a cheap chair and begin suspending her as soon as she opens her mouth and says something blunt.
I don't think I'm frustrated. I probably am frustrated myself right now. I think the language is taken out of context, and I really didn't intentionally mean to put down my teammates because they've been through this with me throughout the whole year. They busted their eyes, just how I busted my eyes. They showed up for me through thick and thin in the locker room when nobody could see anything. So I would apologize to my teammates, which I already have, about the article and how it was misconstrued, about what was said. And I just have to be better with my language because I know it's not the message, it's the messenger, and understanding what I say can be taken any kind of way. So I just have to really do better and grow from this.
This is the reality. Here, Angel Reese is not innocent. She had a difficult start to the season. Missed layups, shooting percentages in the cellar, and doubts about effort. She was shooting less than 30% around the rim at one point. For a player who depends on the paint for her livelihood, that is unacceptable. The general manager's annoyance earlier wasn't unexpected. She needed to get better, and as the season progressed, she did, to her credit. She is still not proficient enough, though, to enter a press conference and begin disparaging colleagues by name.
And watching the bottom of your screen.
Nevertheless, when Chicago selected Angel Reese in the draft, they knew precisely what they were getting. At LSU, this player thrived on drama and garnered media attention for both her play and her pranks. She doesn't hold back and is bold and forthright. It's a component of her brand. You can't try to hide that aspect of her when it causes conflict and then embrace it when it works for marketing. That isn't how it operates. The issue that everyone is asking now is, does this imply that Angel Reese is finished with Chicago? Let's be honest. It's already written on the wall. She has worn her teammates down. It is obvious that the front desk is unsure of how to deal with her. Additionally, Angel appears to be checked out half the time. The idea that she might be traded during the offseason is not outlandish. Who wants to handle this circus is the issue. Her skill on the court isn't the only factor. The question is whether a team is prepared to accept the baggage that accompanies her personality. In a few years, Angel Reese might no longer be in the league, according to certain theories. I don't believe it. She has too much skill and too marketable. She bounces back like a pro. She has an unrelenting motor. Additionally, she has enough celebrity to draw crowds. That's not something you simply throw out of the league. But if she wants to be more than simply a pretty name, I do believe she will need to mature a lot. It's easy to draw comparisons to Draymond Green. She has a chip on her shoulder, energy, and intensity, much like Draymond. She may, however, cross the line, accrue technical fouls, and put her team in awkward situations, much like Draymond. This season, Angel has already received 8 technicals. 8. Toughness isn't that. Lack of control is what that is. And when your team is 10-30, the last thing you can afford is your best player being punished for technical fouls. Fans of the Chicago Sky are now left to watch their season fall apart as their presumed star is benched due to both her own behavior and the strange sanctions imposed by the front office. This is the manifestation of dysfunction. They're getting blown away on the court. Their locker room is collapsing off the court. Additionally, they are trapped in soap opera mode rather than concentrating on creating a future. The fact that this suspension has gone viral in the media is also telling. Every sports publication has jumped on it, including ESPN and the Associated Press. Why? Because of how absurd it is. At this level, a half-game suspension is unprecedented. The WNBA already faces challenges with player discipline and integrity. This merely raises the question, what are they doing over there? How would you feel if you were another athlete in that locker room? Does the fact that management disciplined Angel make you feel supported? Or are you ashamed by the fact that your franchise has suddenly become a joke? It's probably the latter. Stability is what players desire. They want to know if the company has a strategy. The Sky seem to be improvising everything at the moment. And that brings us full circle to Angel. Her response to everything was one of outright defiance. She did not immediately turn back. She didn't back down. She backed off, claiming that her remarks were misconstrued and that she didn't mean to disparage her teammates, but she quickly reminded everyone that she wanted talented athletes in her life. Translation: I apologize, but I'm not. At least she made an effort to mend the situation by apologizing, but the harm had already been done. Once you publicly humiliate your teammates, it's impossible to take it back. There is a breach of trust. Suspending her for a half hour won't mend the locker room's fractures. It only heightens the stress, if anything. Let's not pretend that this is simply a single negative comment, by the way. There is a pattern to this. Angel Reese has been the subject of controversy all the time, sending out a lot of SMS and fighting with referees. It ceases to be bad luck and becomes your identity when it occurs every few weeks. In real time, the Sky are becoming aware of this, and they are unsure on how to respond. This team was not going anywhere this season, which was the saddest part. They are far from postseason contention and towards the bottom of the standings. Angel Reese's suspension doesn't alter that fact. It only speeds up the inevitable split between her and the franchise, if anything. From here, where did the Chicago Sky go? To be honest, they're in a tight spot. That should tell you everything you need to know. Angel Reese was suspended for half a game. They lacked the courage to really commit to benching her. Furthermore, they lacked the self-assurance to overlook it. They decided to take the intermediate route. And there is always a ditch at the end of the middle road. The media is laughing, fans are laughing, and other league players are laughing. In the WNBA, you don't get respect by taking shortcuts. Either you establish the norm or you don't. The Sky are currently demonstrating that they have no idea what the standard is. And let's not act as though this is improving the team dynamic. Suspension isn't a panacea when you're already losing and your greatest player is essentially at odds with her teammates. Angel's 20-minute absence against the Aces won't make Ariel Atkins and Rachel Bam fall in love with her overnight. That's not how locker room trust operates. It's gone once you burn it. Let's dissect this even more. There is more to Angel Reese's problem than her excessive talking. The problem is that her game doesn't yet completely support her claims. She is an excellent rebounder. She brings energy, hustles, and fights on the glass, and no one questions that, but she also lacks consistency offensively and commits needless fouls. Additionally, she has a technical foul issue, as we have already stated. You can't afford to give folks more reasons to be critical of you when you're the top player on a losing team. Fans of the Chicago Sky also notice this. They watch her play hard one night and then argue with the referees the next. While she is still attempting to establish herself as a dependable number one choice, they witness her requesting superior players. It doesn't make you feel confident. It causes division. Now picture yourself observing this team as a free agent. Are you in a hurry to sign in Chicago at this moment? Most likely not. This club appears more like a soap opera than a basketball team because of the instability in the front office, the half-game suspensions, and Angel Reese's agitation. Unless they have no other choice, gamers steer clear of that type of situation. Here's the problem, though. Chaos is what Angel Reese thrives on. Being combative, dramatic, and unrepentant has been the cornerstones of her entire brand. She has made headlines for expressing her opinion and refusing to back down, both at LSU and in the professional ranks. Some individuals adore it, while others despise it. However, everyone listens. And that's precisely why she's staying put. Because controversy sells, another team will take the chance even if Chicago trades her. Nevertheless, Angel will need to change if she is to succeed. The bad girl of basketball act is adorable until you're sitting out half of games because you're talking too much and your team is 10-30. Drama must eventually give way to production. Teams will no longer tolerate you if it doesn't. Her marketability and recovery are currently buying her time. However, if you don't take the next step, that time swiftly passes in a league where careers are brief. Let's go back to Chicago's part in this whole situation. This year, the front office hasn't exactly been a shining example. From early public censure of Ree to this bizarre suspension stunt, they have appeared reactive and unsure. Clear expectations are set by successful franchises. Weak franchises invent things as they go. Can you guess which category the Sky belongs in? Let's now discuss perception. Because perception is crucial in the world of sports today. The plot now centers on Angel Ree's 1.5-year suspension. Not their actual basketball games, not their future, nor the Sky record. ESPN does not discuss its offensive plans. They're discussing how absurd this punishment appears to be. That is an issue. You've already lost when the conversation about your team turns into a farce. Ree is leaning into it in the meantime. She expressed regret to her teammates. Yes. However, she immediately returned to suggesting that her remarks were misconstrued and taken out of context. It isn't a true apology. It's public relations. Fans are able to see through it. She's delivering a very clear message. She is not going to back down.
She hasn't changed.
And it's her issue if you don't like it. And to be honest, that's why, even if Chicago doesn't, she will survive this mess. She is too obstinate to be swayed by criticism or suspension. Some other team will take her and give her the keys if the Sky don't want her. That's simply the truth. Whether people like it or not, she is a star in this league. Here's the catch, though. There is more to being a star than making headlines. It all comes down to leadership, consistency, and improving your team. Angel Ree now has 2 out of 3. She is reliable when it comes to the glass. She hasn't demonstrated that she can lead her squad to greater heights, but she is a newsmaker. She's just noise with rebounds until she accomplishes it. And that's when the irony of the entire suspension story starts. With this penalty, the Sky attempted to reduce the noise, but all they succeeded in doing was making it louder. The league is now discussing Angel Ree once more. Her name is popular. The half-game suspension will go down in WNBA history as one of the most ridiculous penalties ever, and clips of her remarks are making the rounds. Chicago, meantime, continues to stink. They still have a terrible record. There are cracks in their locker room, and they've essentially finished their season. Other than the fact that they now appear worse, nothing has changed. Do you believe this to be desperation or discipline? Tell me in the comments below. Please click like, subscribe, and turn on that bell if you would want to see more in-depth analyses of the WNBA's most outrageous stories. There will be more madness soon.